Definition and characteristics of quadratic functions and parabolas. A quadratic function is a function that can be written in the form y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. A, b, and c are element of the reals, but probably most importantly, a cannot be equal to 0. Just like linear functions, there are many different forms of quadratic functions, and each form has some benefits and each has some drawbacks. We'll be taking a look at these later. But the general form of a quadratic function looks like this. Y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. Now, the factored form, it looks like it is the product of two factors. So y is equal to bx plus c times dx plus e. And lastly, the vertex form, y is equal to a, open brackets, x minus h squared plus k. Now the important thing to note about the vertex form is that there's a perfect square factor in the middle. So a quadratic function may be able to be written in all three forms. For example, let's look. A person may expand the vertex form or factored form to change the function into general form. Let us begin with this. Now, this looks like a quadratic function in factored form. We can easily change this into general form by multiplying this through. So if I have y is equal to 2, open brackets, x plus 1, close brackets, open brackets, 2x minus 1, I'm going to change this into general form by multiplying. I'm going to distribute my multiplication of 2 into that first factor. And I'm going to carry on my multiplication. So I guess I would say multiply 2 by first factor. Now I'm going to continue my multiplication. So I see it's a binomial times a binomial. Each term of the first binomial needs to be multiplied to each term of the second binomial. Same here. So what we do have is 2x times 2x is 4x squared. Then 2x times negative 2 is going to be negative 4x. And I'm going to move over here. 2 times 2x is going to be plus 4x. And our last multiplication is positive 2 times negative 2 is going to be negative 4. If I clean this up by collecting like terms, I get the function y is equal to 4x, negative 4x plus 4x. Cancel each other out because they're zeros, minus 4. So I end up with the result, y is equal to 4x squared minus 4. It may be important to note that when we take a look at general form, it's ax squared plus bx plus c. In this quadratic function we've seen below, the bx term, that is the coefficient of b, is 0. And when that happens, the term doesn't appear. So let me address a question that some of you have. Does it matter if I take 2 and multiply it into that first? No. But just remember, since it's a product of one factor times another, that you only need to multiply 2 into one of the factors. You don't have to multiply 2 twice. Now, let's get over to this. We're going to change this into general form. Perhaps we can even change it to factored form, but that's not what we're going to be doing here. We're going to change it into general form. which is y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. My first step here, likely, is to recognize what the exponent means. The exponent really means repeated multiplication. So if I expand that exponent, this is what it looks like. I am following the order of operations. In other words, I need to evaluate my exponents before I evaluate my multiplication. And now what we see is that we have 3 times a binomial, or times a binomial plus 4. So what I'm going to choose to do, I'm going to tackle a different order. I'm going to worry about my 3 later, and then I'm going to just simply multiply, do my binomial multiplication. So some of you call this FOIL, but x times x gives me x squared. X times -1 gives me negative x. -1 times x is going to be negative x. -1 times -1 is going to yield positive 1 plus 4. Carrying this through and simplifying, we have 3 times x squared minus 2x plus 1 plus 4. So really what I'm, maybe if I want to write, I can write expand and multiply. Between these two steps, I collected like terms. And now what I may want to do in this next step, I'm going to multiply by 3 into this trinomial. So 3 times x squared is 3x squared. 3 times -2x is -6x. 3 times 1 is going to be plus 3. Now don't forget your plus 4 at the end. In changing this, we're just going to collect like terms again. And that would be collecting the like terms with a constant. And there we are. This is in general form.